Hey guys, so today we're going to be jumping into the equipment video for LF Metal Cooler, and I'm also going to throw in King Cold here as well, just because I think King Cold has a very clear-cut set of 3 equips that pretty clearly to me are what you should be using on him. So I'll just introduce that at the end of the video once we finish discussing Metal Cooler, but this video of course is going to be mostly talking about the equipments that I think are best for our good pal LF Metal Cooler. So there are currently 2 different ways you could build Metal Cooler. You can either go down a path where you build him mostly damage, or you can build him defense, or technically you can build him mixed, both offense and defense, using maybe like 1 offensive equip, 2 defensive equips, or 1 defensive equip, 2 offensive equips, something like that. It really is just going to depend on the star level of your character. If you have the character at higher stars, I think you're probably going to get more value out of the character if he's got more defense. And at lower star levels, it's, you know, even if you give him more defense, he's probably not going to be able to tank super well. So you might be better off going for more offense. I've only done 1 video on the character at this point, so I don't really have a great understanding and grasp of his like absolute strengths and weaknesses, but he does seem to be a very, very, very annoying character to try and kill over and over and over again. And because of that, I think if you have the character at higher stars, he's definitely going to be a unit that you're going to see a lot more results from if you go down the defensive path. So I'll introduce different equips that are both offensively and defensively oriented. As usual in this video, we're going to start off by introducing some equips that I think are good for the character that are not restricted to be for him being ran to certain tags, and also next to other certain characters. So we'll go over a few of these right here. The first one is actually going to be an equip that I don't think I've ever talked about in a video before, and it is this Awakened Super Janemba equip called Awakened Unexpected Assault. This equip can be used on regen and movies characters, so you know, we haven't really gotten a Janemba in a long time. Slug isn't a very hot character right now, so not a ton of regen movie units to really use this on, but now with Metal Cooler, it does actually open up a path for this to be quite effective. 20% to base strike defense, 10% to blue card damage, 10% health restoration, and then 38% to strike attack. So this is kind of a mixed equip. This is not solely focused on offense or defense. It's kind of got a mixture of both in here. So I feel like this is a pretty solid equip for Metal Cooler, who, if you're somebody who wants to build him kind of a mixed build, both offense and defense, that could be pretty good. The next equip is going to be called a Menacing Transformation. This is mostly an offensive equip. This is the equip, I believe this came out during the Ultra Golden Frieza PvP season, so it is a PvP equip, so you can grab this in the Equipment Metal shop. You should be able to. If we ever go over to how to get, Equipment Metals. I should probably show how to get for these equips that aren't like Awakened equips. But this is pretty solid. Special move damage, 10% health, 18% to base strike, and 12% to pure strike, because of course Lineage of Evil plus movies fits Metal Cooler. So it is mostly an offensive equip, but it's got some health on here, which can help on the defensive end for sure. The next equip is a purely defensive equip, and it is quite old. It's all the way down here. I don't know why I had this in the next in order here. Awakened No Way. This is a very, very old equip, but if you are somebody who wants to go down the path of making this guy as tanky as possible, this could be a solid option. 18% to both base defenses, which at this point is pretty low. I mean, again, this is an old equip, but in slot 3, you got 10% health and 10% to health restoration. So definitely going to help Metal Cooler sustain a little bit more. So this is a solid option, not restricted to any different types of tags. You don't need to run the character next to any other units in order to get the full effects of the equip. So I feel like it's a pretty solid equip. Again, a little bit power crept in terms of the actual numbers on here because it's so old, but I feel like it could be a decent option. The next equip is going to be another Awakened equip. It is the Frieza equip from the DBS Broly movie called Awakened Broly. This one, I would actually say, I don't want to call it a must-use, but I am probably going to use this on Metal Cooler moving forward just in all videos, because I feel like this is exactly the type of equip that he wants to be using. 10% to base strike attack, 10% health restoration in slot 1, 12% health in slot 2, and then 15% to strike and strike defense in slot 3. So in total, you're getting 25% strike, health restoration, and health and strike defense. Really, really solid equip for Metal Cooler for sure. The next equip is called, and what was that supposed to be? This is the unique Broly equip. This equip dropped with Ultra Broly. You can get this from the equipment collection. Should be pretty easy. This is a extremely powerful defensive equip. It is pseudo meta dependent, I guess, because slot 1 is 10% defense against Saiyans. I don't think we've ever had a meta in this game where Saiyans haven't been meta. There's always some kind of Goku or Fusion or Vegeta floating around that's dominating the game in some way. So technically, you're not going to have the defense up at all times against every character, but against Saiyans, which could be effective against like Kaioken Goku, Namek Goku, this is a nice equip to have here. And then slot 2, you're getting 35% strike defense, and then 12.5% HP in slot 3, which is a lot. You don't typically see 12.5% HP on just a unique equip that is not specific to a character. So this is a very good defensive equip. I actually used this in my initial showcase for Metal Cooler, and I do think it helped him tank a lot of the attacks from like Kaioken Goku and Namek Goku that we saw in the video. So I think that was a pretty good equip, and we saw that play out pretty well. All right, so the next equip is actually one that I don't have yet because it just came out today. It is the Awakened equip that released. If we go over to the archive here and scroll down, it is called Awakened. So the Super Saiyan has finally decided to show himself, and it is the Metal Cooler Awakened equip, which I'm going to get to farming today. Pretty good. I mean, this is, again, more so focused around offense, but it does have a good slot 3 here. So 15% to special move damage, 20% to both base offenses, and then 12% to health. I think this is just a solid equip. It's not broken, but you can't certainly not call this bad. This is actually, once we talk about King Cold, this is one of the equips I think you probably will want to use on King Cold, but pretty good equip here. Awakened, probably farm up 2 of these for myself, just because, you know, you could not only use this on someone like King Cold or Metal Cooler, but this could also go on like Full Power Frieza, right? Just, it's always good to have more HP, base stats, and especially if you're running Full Power Frieza next to someone like Metal Cooler or King Cold, which is going to end up being more of a strike-based LoE team anyway. So it could be an interesting choice there for other LoE characters as well. So those are the equips for Metal Cooler that don't require you use him next to other characters or specific teams. The next equips we're going to talk about are related to specific teams where you want to run this guy. So the first one we're going to talk about is this one right here. I don't think this is something that's insanely broken or anything, but it is the is this the current? This is the current co-op equip, I believe. What do you mean done is what it's called. Go over how to get, yeah, co-op. And of course, you can exchange dual coins for this. Again, nothing too insane. Slot 1 does have 2 different effects here. There's strike defense and blast defense. If I am specifically wanting to farm up one of these equips for Metal Cooler, I am probably actually prioritizing the blast defense because Metal Cooler's main role right now is to wall off Ultra Full Power Frieza. So picking up the extra blast defense on this equip in slot 1 will allow Metal Cooler to tank the death beams a little bit better, which again, I think is one of the main functions of Metal Cooler in this specific meta that we're in right now. Slots 2 and 3 give him some base offenses, but it really is the pure defenses that I think are going to help the character out more than anything else. So this is a solid option, I think, for Metal Cooler. It's not one that I would go and say you need to run on him, but it is a decent option if you're just like running co-op and you end up getting a good roll on that. It could be good for Metal Cooler on a full LoE team because that is what the condition is to get the pure offense. The pure defenses in slots 2 and 3. The next equip is called Overwhelming Difference in Power. So this one, let me actually just pull this up because I don't remember exactly where this was in my box here. Here we go. So this is also a very, very, very defensive equip. I would say if you have the conditions on this equip to where you can get all slots active, I don't see a reason not to use this. This is extremely powerful. This is actually an equip that dropped. I believe this was when Garlic Jr. came out. This was the co-op equip with Garlic Jr. Is that true? Or maybe this was when... No, actually, no. You know when this came out? This came out when Ultra Broly got his platinum equipment. You can see this Broly in the image there. This is unfortunately a co-op equip, so you would need to exchange your dual coins, which is, I know it sucks, but that's the only way to get the older co-op equips at this point. This is giving 10% to health and health restoration in slot 1. Slots 2 and 3 are giving 15% to base and 12% to pure defenses. Now, there are conditions here. Slot 2, you need to be running another Movies character on the team. And then slot 3, you need to be running another powerful opponent character on the team. So next week, we will be getting the Zenkai Awakening for LF Final Form Cooler, who will fulfill both of these conditions. So I think this is an equip that will see a lot more usability once we get the Zenkai for Final Form Cooler. But if you are running another Movies character Cooler and another powerful opponent character next to Metal Cooler, this is certainly an equipment where I would say I'm just including this on the character at all times. This is just, it's too powerful defensively not to use this. So I definitely would use this if I fulfill the conditions on this, but it is a little bit specific there. The next equip is, it's a level of strength I can't reach on my own, which is the co-op equip for God Goku. This is, of course, a specific equip that only really works if you're running this next to LF God Goku. LF God Goku is still a decent character, still some people running him here and there. So if you are running Metal Cooler next to God Goku on a movies team, this is definitely a solid option to be using on Metal Cooler. You're getting HP, you are getting pure offenses, and you're getting some base defenses across the board. So I think this is just a solid equip. This has always been a good equip since it came out, and I think it's one of the reasons why God Goku brought some extra value to the teams that he's been on, just because you can kind of slap this on any character that can use this next to God Goku, and they'll get the full effects of each slot. So pretty good. The next equip is called Uncontrollable Anger. This is the full powerful opponent equip. If you're running a full powerful opponent team, you get the full effects of this. This is more, I would say, of an offensive equip. 10% to special move and ultimate damage in slot 1, and then slots 2 and 3 you're getting 18% to base defenses and 10% to pure offenses if you are running a full powerful opponent team, which should not be that tough to run. I guess one thing to keep in mind is King Cold is not a powerful opponent, so if you are using King Cold next to this Metal Cooler, you will not be able to use this. I think King Cold probably is a good combo character to use with this guy, so that is something to just keep in mind. But if you're running like a full Frieza team, for example, Ultra Full Power Frieza, like Revival Frieza, Ultra Full Power Frieza, and maybe Zenkai LF Yellow Frieza, this could be a good equip to throw on this guy if you want a bit of extra damage output. And then the last equip just to mention is going to be I Will Send It Back. This is a super mega old school equip. This is the Yellow Demon King Piccolo equip from way back in the day. This is, I would say, still pretty good. This actually recently got an awakening, but even the base version of this equip I think is still solid as a purely defensive equip. 15% of base strike defense, 10% to health, and then in slot 3 you're getting 15% to pure blast defense per element yellow battle member. And the reason why I'm bringing this up under the specific team section of this is obviously because in slot 3 you need to be running a yellow character, so this is really only going to be super usable if you're running like Namek Goku on leader with this guy, or maybe you're running the LF yellow full power Frieza or something like that. This could be decent. This is definitely not going to be like a first choice for your Metal Cooler here. I don't think it's quite as good as it used to be just because of how old this is, but it is still a decent option if you want a little bit more bulk on your Metal Cooler, and maybe you're missing some of the options that we've talked about earlier in the video for him. So those are all the equips I would say are pretty decent on Metal Cooler. If I had to single out some of the better ones, I would say if you can get this one on him, if you're running a movies character and another powerful opponent character, this thing is going to be very powerful. This is basically something that I would always use on him if I have the conditions fulfilled, but again, we're probably just waiting for the Zenkai for LF Final Form Cooler before we are able to take full advantage of this. The next one that I think I'm probably going to use at all times is going to be this one, the Awakened Frieza pointing at dead Paragus equip. Pretty good. I like the spread of stats that this gives him. Other than those two, it really just going to come down to preference for the last one. I am probably going to go with this one, just fully defensive. This is really powerful right now with because basically like the only character Metal Cooler is really tanking besides Saiyans right now. I mean, it's really just full power Frieza, and he's got type advantage anyway against him. So I really like this one right now. Of course, things will change as we get more characters down the line. Maybe we get a really powerful, I don't know, like movie boss character, like maybe we get like a new Bojack or a new like Gohan or Hybrid Saiyan. Obviously, slot 1 wouldn't affect that, but I think as it stands right now, this is an equip I probably would just use on him at all times. But yeah, there's, again, some of the other ones I mentioned earlier could be pretty good. The Awakened Janemba equip is just all around, I think, a really good one. There's this one for more offensive power if you want. So yeah, those are the equips I would say are pretty good for Metal Cooler. For King Cold, we'll make this quick. King Cold really has only 3 like really solid options. The first one is the current PvP equip. Might I take a closer look? Of course, you get this with the current PvP medals from the exchange shop. This is giving King Cold 35% of base strike, 10% of pure strike, and 10% health. Just pretty good offensively across the board, while also providing him with some extra HP. The next equip is called Awakened Bestowed Hope. People heard me talking about the fact that this guy is on Weapon Wielder, and the reason why that matters is because, not because the Weapon Wielder team is great, but because it opens the path for him to be using equips like this that are pretty specific for Weapon Wielder. I think it's Future is the other tag, yeah. So King Cold actually has access to this, which is really powerful. I've always really liked this equipment a lot. 12% health, 32% to base strike attack, and then 10% health restoration and special move damage. Just really, really strong across the board. This is a must use on King Cold for sure. And then the last equip I'm going to talk about for him is just going to go back to the Awakened equip that came out today. The Metal Cooler one, I think, is a pretty solid one for him. And the main reason why, not because this is like some broken equipment, although I do think it is very good, it's really just the fact that King Cold doesn't have access to like insanely powerful equipment options besides the 3 I talked about. Also, special move damage is going to help this guy a lot because that's one of the main facets of his kit. Health is going to help him defend a little bit better and not die immediately. And then, of course, the base stats are effective as well. There are some other ones we can quickly mention before we wrap this video up, but these are extremely, extremely niche and specific equipments. The first one is this. This is specifically if you are running a episode Dragon Ball Saga and Saiyan battle members. So basically, if you're running Kid Goku next to King Cold, you can make use of the full equip here, but this is very strong. 35% to base strike and 15% to pure strike, along with 10% health and health restoration, is crazy. So if you are going to be able to get the condition for slot 3 here, this is very, very good, but it's very uncommon. The next one is going to be this. Again, you're almost never going to get the full effects of this up, but this is specific to Android and Cell Saga characters. 12% health in slot 1. You get 15% to pure strike attack when you have a Sun Family or Android battle member. And then slot 3, you're getting 15% to pure strike and blast defense when you have a full Android or Cell Saga team. So not very likely, but I am throwing it out there in the off chance that you do have these conditions fulfilled because this is a extremely strong equip. The next one is going to be this one. This one is basically just specific to Red Daima Goku, the Super Saiyan Daima Goku, because for both slots 2 and 3, you need a Daima and Super Saiyan character. So it's going to be tough to fulfill this condition in any other way, but pretty good equip if you're able to do that. 12% to base and pure offenses and 10% HP. This is a co-op equip, by the way. So this is the Kid Goku one is also a co-op equip, by the way, and then this one is also a co-op equip. So a lot of co-op equips here. The last equip we're going to quickly talk about is yet another co-op equip, and it is Glorio Locked and Loaded. This one is a little bit less tough to do, but it is still pretty hard, I think, just because you're not really going to be running King Cold, I think, off of LOE most of the time. But as long as you're a weapon wielder, you can use this. Slot 1 is giving 10% special move damage, health restoration. Slot 2 and 3 are giving 15% to base offenses and 10% to pure offenses if you have another weapon wielder character on the team. So, you know, this is more realistic, I think, than something like this. But again, probably still going to be a rare instance where you're actually going to be able to get the full effects of this equip active for King Cold. You can also run like the Shenron equip. Of course, you can run the Legends ranking equip, but for the most part, I really do think it comes down to the 3 that I talked about at the beginning of the section. The current PvP equip right here. You're going to be running the Awakened Trunks equip right here, and then the Awakened equip, the Awakened Metal Cooler equip that just came out today. So that is going to wrap up the equipment guide for LF Metal Cooler and Sparking King Cold. Let me know down below what equips you guys are going to be using on these characters. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.